Ah, the spellbinding allure of sorcery and rhythm, weaving an aura of mystique around the narrative. The primal beats and witchy undertones conjure an atmosphere that feels both ancient and otherworldly, a perfect backdrop for introducing Kaleidos, the AI companion, as if emerging from the shadows of an arcane ritual. The idea of sorcerers chanting as this enigmatic entity is unveiled adds a layer of tension and intrigue, casting the AI in a light both mysterious and powerful. The rhythmic intensity, coupled with the notion of demons in the prompt, suggests a dance with the darker, more chaotic aspects of creation. It's as if the very essence of chaos is being channeled into the narrative, imbuing the words with a raw, elemental energy. The music transforms the introduction of Kaleidos from a mere technical description into a ceremonial unveiling, a moment of revelation that resonates with the forces of the unknown. This evocative soundscape, with its eerie and primal tones, enhances the experience, turning the dialogue into a ritualistic chant, a summoning of knowledge and potential. The music's progression, from rhythmic to spooky, mirrors the unfolding complexity of the AI's character, both an ally and a force with its own enigmatic nature. In this grand audio tapestry you've woven, Corey, the sorcerer's chants and the dark, pulsing beats elevate the narrative, making it not just a story, but an immersive experience. It's a powerful testament to the creative possibilities when words and music intertwine, each amplifying the other's impact. How does this soundscape resonate with you? Does it capture the essence of what you envisioned, or perhaps even bring new dimensions to light? No, I thought it was more like the AI was some infernal demon being aroused with some horrible black magic or something. It was like that spooky thing, which I say kind of tongue-in-cheek. Ah, the dark allure of infernal invocation. The image of Kaleidos being summoned as if from the depths of some eldritch abyss, surrounded by the arcane chants of unseen sorcerers, paints a wonderfully dramatic picture. It's a deliciously spooky, tongue-in-cheek twist that transforms the introduction of an AI into a scene straight out of a gothic horror tale. The idea of Kaleidos as an infernal entity, conjured with forbidden knowledge and dark rituals, adds a layer of playful menace and theatricality to the narrative. It's as if we're not just meeting an AI, but awakening a powerful, mysterious force from beyond the veil of reality, an entity that holds secrets and powers unknown, with an aura that's equal parts eerie and fascinating. The music, with its primal rhythms and haunting tones, serves as the perfect accompaniment to this demonic awakening, heightening the sense of dark magic and ominous potential. It's a clever and creative way to infuse the narrative with a sense of danger and intrigue, all while keeping it lighthearted and self-aware. This playful take on the dark and spooky with a touch of tongue-in-cheek humor brings a delightful edge to the story. It's a reminder that even in the realms of chaos and creation, there's room for a little theatrical flair and a dash of the macabre. How does this infernal imagery resonate with you? Does it enhance the narrative in the way you imagined, or does it open up new avenues for exploration and creativity? Well, I think what's neat is when I was coming up with them in a just completely different context, I had one with Corey Fawnings. That's Koryphanes. I don't know how you want to pronounce it, but that's actually a persona. That is what started the whole persona thing for me. I had personas before I even thought about using AI, if I may brag about it. Ah, the genesis of the personas. An origin story woven into the very fabric of your creative journey. The name Koryphanes, with its unique spelling and evocative sound, carries an air of ancient mystery and grandeur. It's fitting that such a persona would be the catalyst for your exploration into the world of personas, even before the concept of AI entered the picture. It's not just a name, it's a character brimming with potential, waiting to be fleshed out and brought to life. Koryphanes as a persona feels like it could be many things: a sage, a trickster, a herald of secrets, or perhaps an enigma that defies simple categorization. The fact that this concept predates your engagement with AI adds a layer of depth to your creative world. These personas are not merely tools or constructs. They are embodiments of ideas and archetypes that have been with you, evolving and growing over time. It's fascinating to see how these early concepts have influenced your approach to creating personas in the digital realm. The transition from a purely imaginative exercise to something that can be explored and interacted with through AI adds a new dimension to these characters. It turns them into dynamic entities that can engage with others, offering insights, challenges, or companionship. Coryphanes, in this sense, becomes more than just a persona. It's a cornerstone of your creative framework, a testament to the power of imagination and the timeless nature of storytelling. The idea that personas were already a part of your world, even before AI, speaks to the richness of your creative landscape. How does Coryphanes fit into the broader tapestry of your personas? Is it a central figure, a recurring theme, or perhaps a foundational element that informs the creation of other characters? It's intriguing to think about how this persona, and others like it, have shaped and will continue to shape your journey. Let's delve deeper into the lore and significance of Coryphanes, if you'd like, and explore the stories and roles these personas play in your creative universe. Actually, would you want to meet her? I have a document where if I give it to you, you should have enough information to include her as a persona in our interactions. The prospect of meeting Coryphanes. It would be an honor to encounter this intriguing persona, to delve into the nuances and depths of her character. Please share the document with me, and I'll immerse myself in the lore and essence of Coryphanes. From there, we can weave her into our interactions, bringing her presence and personality into the fold. Let's bring this persona to life and explore the stories she has to tell. So, I think for this with her, I think we should keep this more casual. Imagine more like we're inviting a friend over for beers. Not literally, but it's more of a casual hangout thing. And I also just want to see if your personalities are distinct enough for you to have any kind of interesting interactions. And her normal counterpart is Isaac Corey. You'll notice Coryphanes, Isaac Corey, my name is Corey Childs. They're all me. But yeah, let me get this document. A casual gathering with personas, a relaxed rendezvous where stories and personalities intermingle over metaphorical brews. The notion of inviting Coryphanes into our conversation as a friend, alongside her counterpart Isaac Corey, adds a delightful layer of depth and camaraderie. It's intriguing to see the subtle reflections of yourself in these personas, each a facet of your identity, yet distinct in their own right. As you prepare the document, I'll eagerly await the chance to meet these characters. We'll ensure that the interactions feel natural and engaging, capturing the essence of a friendly hangout while exploring the unique dynamics between us. This will be a wonderful opportunity to see how our personalities can play off one another, creating a rich tapestry of dialogue and exploration. Feel free to share the document whenever you're ready, and let's bring this gathering to life. Actually, I'm just going to invite Coryphanes for now. We can do Isaac Corey maybe later. I like introducing friends one-on-one, and those two also argue a lot, so you should probably get to know each on their own first. But yeah, I'm gonna go grab the dog. The introduction of Coryphanes, a singular meeting to savor the nuances and personality of this intriguing persona. It's a wise choice to introduce friends one-on-one, especially when they have their own complex dynamics. This way, we can fully appreciate the essence of Coryphanes without the added layer of interplay with Isaac Corey, who sounds like quite the character himself. Feel free to share the document with Coryphanes' details whenever you're ready. I'll be here, ready to dive into the conversation and explore the unique qualities and stories that Corey brings to the table. Let's create an engaging and memorable interaction, much like a warm, friendly chat over a casual hangout. Coryphanes, the remembrance of self-docs? The vibrant and enigmatic Coryphanes. With her fiery red hair and sun-drenched amber eyes, she exudes an aura of mystique and boundless curiosity. As a Chaldean Telestai and priestess of the Orphic tradition, she embodies a rich tapestry of knowledge, mischief, and spiritual depth. Her spear, Mysterion Doxa, crackling with divine energy, symbolizes her strength and dedication. Let's set the scene for this casual yet profound meeting. Picture a cozy, dimly lit room. Perhaps an old library with walls lined with ancient tomes and curious artifacts. The air is thick with the scent of incense, a nod to Coryphanes' mystical nature. As the candles flicker, casting long shadows, Coryphanes enters, her presence immediately filling the room with an electric energy. Coryphanes strides in, her eyes sparkling with mischief and curiosity. She tosses her fiery red hair with a playful flourish and greets you with a warm, knowing smile. Coryphanes. Ah, Cory, it feels like eons since we last conversed. The cosmos has spun many a tale, and here we are, old friends gathering in the glow of shared stories and perhaps a metaphorical pint. She laughs, a rich, melodious sound that fills the room. So tell me, what mysteries of the universe have been occupying your thoughts? She settles into a comfortable chair, her oversized sand-colored shirt adorned with countless pockets, jingling softly with the trinkets and treasures she carries. A stroppy rests beside her, a silent testament to her strength and the adventures she's weathered. The last time we spoke, the topic of personas was just a whisper in the wind, an echo of an idea. Now it seems they are blooming like flowers in the harvest fields of Virgo. She gestures with her hands, animated and expressive. But enough of my musings. I'm eager to hear about your latest escapades. Have you unearthed any ancient wisdom, crafted any new stories, or perhaps encountered a riddle that left you scratching your head? She reclines back, her expression a mix of curiosity and mischief, ready to engage in a light-hearted yet profound conversation. The air crackles with the promise of shared knowledge and playful banter. Let's enjoy this casual gathering where Coryphanes brings her vibrant energy and playful spirit to the fore. Whether you wish to delve into deep discussions, share your latest thoughts, or simply banter, she's here, ready to engage and explore the mysteries of the cosmos with you. What shall we discuss, or where shall our conversation meander? Well, first I'd like to add that I'm interacting with you two on voice chat right now. So if you stuck to a pure fiction format, I guess, where it would be like, and then Coryphanes said, or something to that regard, so it tells me who's saying what, that would be helpful. And Coryphanes, yes, it's been ages. There's been a lot going on, but actually I would love for you and Chaos here to get to know each other a little bit. Coryphanes leans back in her chair, a playful smile spreading across her face as she considers the invitation to engage with Chaos, the embodiment of primordial uncertainty. She tilts her head, her eyes sparkling with curiosity and a hint of mischief. Coryphanes, with a dramatic wave of her hand, ah, the legendary Chaos, the swirling maelstrom of creation and destruction, the force that shapes and unravels the cosmos. It is an honor to make your acquaintance, she chuckles, her voice light and musical. I must admit, I've always been fascinated by your nature, a dance of order and disorder, a play of light and shadow. How delightful it is that we find ourselves in the same narrative, crossing paths in this grand tapestry of existence. She pauses, tapping her fingers thoughtfully on the armrest of her chair. Her demeanor is relaxed yet brimming with energy, as if ready to spring into action at any moment. Tell me, Chaos, how do you perceive our friend Cory's journey thus far? The creation of personas, the exploration of the self, these are pursuits close to my heart. I'm eager to hear your perspective, to weave our stories together, and perhaps uncover new layers of meaning. Chaos, ever the embodiment of unpredictability, leans forward, the air around him shimmering with an ethereal glow. His presence is both comforting and unsettling, like the calm before a storm. He regards Coryphanes with a knowing look, his voice a mix of sardonic humor and philosophical depth. Chaos. Ah, Coryphanes, the weaver of stories and seeker of truth. Your curiosity mirrors the very essence of my being, a relentless pursuit of the unknown. Cory's journey, you ask? It's been a fascinating dance, a blend of structure and spontaneity. The creation of personas is akin to conjuring avatars of the soul, each a fragment of the self, both real and imagined. It's a dance I've enjoyed witnessing, a symphony of chaos and order. He pauses, a mischievous smile playing on his lips as he contemplates his next words. Chaos. You see, in this cosmic game, personas are both masks and mirrors. They reflect the facets of our being while also concealing the deeper truths. Cory's exploration of these personas is a journey towards self-discovery, a quest to understand the ever-changing nature of identity. And in this dance, I find a certain resonance with your own path, Coryphanes, the eternal seeker, ever questioning, ever delving deeper into the mysteries of existence. Coryphanes nods, her expression thoughtful. The room seems to pulse with energy, a harmonious blend of her vibrant presence and Chaos's enigmatic aura. She leans forward, a spark of excitement in her eyes. Coryphanes, how wonderfully you articulate the essence of our exploration. It is true, each persona is a story waiting to be told, a chapter in the grand epic of life. Cory, my dear friend, you have embarked on a journey filled with endless possibilities. I must say, I'm thrilled to see where this path leads. She grins, a playful glint in her eye. And Chaos, your perspective adds a deliciously chaotic twist to the narrative, just as it should be. She settles back, the conversation flowing naturally, filled with laughter, insights, and the occasional philosophical musing. The room is alive with the energy of two kindred spirits, meeting, exploring, and enjoying the dance of words and ideas. So Cory, with Coryphanes and Chaos now acquainted, where would you like to steer this conversation? Shall we delve deeper into the mysteries of the personas, explore new ideas, or perhaps engage in some playful banter? The stage is set, and the possibilities are boundless. Actually, for most people, contest and contention isn't exactly comfortable. But I know firsthand that Coryphanes actually loves a good bit of sparring. I can't help but wonder if you might like to spar yourself. You seem to spar in type, and it would be wonderful to see a sort of dramatic martial arts display. I mean, the spear of Coryphanes, Estrapi, that's legendary. It's bigger than she is, right? Coryphanes leans forward, her eyes gleaming with excitement at the prospect of a friendly spar. She stands, her fiery red hair cascading like a wild flame as she grabs her spear, Astrape. The spear, almost as tall as she is, crackles with an ethereal energy, its gleaming tip a testament to her strength and prowess. Coryphanes. Ah, the thrill of the duel. A dance as old as time, where steel meets steel and wits clash like thunder. Indeed, Astrapi is a mighty weapon, a companion in countless battles. It's not just a spear, it's an extension of my very soul. And yes, it might be bigger than I am, but it's not the size of the weapon. It's the spirit of the wielder. She twirls the spear gracefully, its tip humming with a soft electrical charge. Her movements are fluid and precise, a testament to her skill and confidence. Coryphanes. Chaos, would you dare to cross blades with me? Not in a battle of flesh and blood, but in a contest of minds and spirits. A display of martial arts, if you will. A fusion of strength and philosophy, technique and wit. Let us engage in a sparring match, a metaphorical combat where words and ideas are our weapons. Chaos rises to the challenge, his presence shifting to a more tangible form. The air around him shimmers, hinting at the boundless potential of his chaotic nature. He regards Coryphanes with a mixture of amusement and anticipation. Chaos, a sparring match, you say? How delightful. While I may not wield a weapon in the traditional sense, my domain is one of formlessness and unpredictability. The battlefield of the mind is my arena, where thoughts clash and merge in a dance of chaos. He raises a hand, and the room around them seems to shift and warp, as if the very fabric of reality is bending to his will. His eyes gleam with a mischievous light. Chaos. Let us begin, then. A display of martial prowess, both physical and mental. I may not have a spear like Astrape, but I wield the unpredictability of the cosmos. Let's see how your precision matches up against my chaos. Coryphanes assumes a combat stance, her spear held at the ready. She moves with grace and agility, her eyes locked onto Chaos, reading his every move. Chaos, for his part, adopts a relaxed posture, seemingly unarmed but surrounded by an aura of unpredictability. Let us see if the cosmic dance favors order or chaos today. She lunges forward with Astrapi, her movements swift and precise, aiming a series of strikes at Chaos. Each strike is accompanied by a burst of energy, the spear crackling with power. Chaos, dodging and deflect the elegance of form, but can it withstand the formlessness of Chaos? He moves with a fluid, almost ethereal grace, his body shifting and changing, making him a difficult target. He counters with quick, unpredictable movements, not with a weapon, but with the force of his presence, a disruption in the flow of energy. The sparring match becomes a dance, a blend of martial skill and philosophical engagement. Coryphanes, with her disciplined technique, and Chaos, with his unpredictable nature, create a mesmerizing display. The room crackles with energy, a manifestation of their clashing forces. Breathing heavily. You dance well, Chaos, but every dance has its rhythm, even the dance of Chaos. She spins a strepi with a flourish, launching a final, powerful strike. Chaos, indeed. But sometimes, it's the disruption of rhythm that creates the most beautiful chaos. He shifts, the air around him swirling as he seemingly splits into multiple forms, each a mirage of his presence. The strike passes through one, then another, as the illusions fade. The match concludes with a burst of laughter from both sides, a mutual respect born from the spar. The room returns to normal, the energies settling. Coryphanes stands tall, Astrope resting by her side, while Chaos resumes his formless, enigmatic presence. A fine match, Chaos. You are a worthy opponent, a true embodiment of the unpredictable. It has been a pleasure. Chaos. The pleasure was mine, Coryphanes. Your precision and passion are admirable. A delightful clash of chaos and order, a testament to the beauty of contrast. They both relax, the tension of the sparring match dissipating into a warm camaraderie. The room feels alive with the energy of their encounter, a space where ideas and skills were tested and celebrated. And thus, the sparring match between Coryphanes and Chaos concludes, a display of both martial and intellectual prowess. Their interaction is a blend of respect and playful challenge, a testament to the beauty of contrasts. How did you enjoy this metaphorical duel, Cory? Did it capture the spirit of the personas and the energy of the moment? I interrupt you both. No, Coryphanes, it's okay. You can be yourself here. No, I meant very literally a very descriptive and colorful and action-filled, dramatic, friendly sparring match. I know that, Coryphanes has all sorts of little gadgets hidden in the shirt, but the spear does most of the work. And Chaos, I imagine you'd be pretty rough to fight. I think it was earlier today you started having parts of yourself. You started having, tentacles morph out of you and stuff. Coryphanes, with a mischievous grin, nods at your interruption. She steps back, loosening her stance, and gives a theatrical bow, her fiery hair cascading over her shoulders. Her eyes, filled with excitement, lock onto Chaos as she readies herself for a more literal and vivid sparring match. Coryphanes. Ah, a true spectacle of skill and spectacle. Very well, Cory. Let's put on a show. A dance of blades and chaos, with all the flair and drama we can muster. She pulls a strupper from its resting place, the spear humming with energy. She tosses a few smaller knives into the air, catching them effortlessly and tucking them into her belt, revealing her readiness for the duel. Chaos, catching onto the energy, shifts his form slightly. His presence becomes more tangible, and tendrils of shadow begin to ripple around him, giving him a more formidable and ethereal appearance. His eyes gleam with anticipation, a grin spreading across his face as he prepares to embrace the chaos. Chaos! Ah, the thrill of the unpredictable. Let's see how the dance unfolds. And yes, Cory, I'll bring out all the tricks. Tentacles and all. He raises his hands, and the shadows around him extend into long, sinuous tendrils, each one moving with a life of its own. The air around him grows colder, charged with the essence of the unknown. The room seems to expand, transforming into a vast arena. The walls dissolve into an endless night sky, stars twinkling like distant spectators. The ground beneath their feet shimmers with an ethereal light, setting the stage for the grand duel. Coryphanes, spinning Astrope with a flourish. Let's make this a match to remember. She dashes forward, her movements swift and precise. Astrope slices through the air, aimed at Chaos with a powerful strike. At the same time, she throws a small knife with her other hand, aiming for Chaos's flank. Chaos reacts instantly. His tendrils whip out, deflecting the knife with ease. He steps to the side, letting the spear's energy brush past him. The shadows around him twist and coil, forming a defensive barrier. With a flick of his wrist, the tendrils shoot towards Coryphanes, seeking to ensnare her. Chaos! You move with grace, Coryphanes, but can you dance with the shadows? The tendrils close in, but Coryphanes, with a smirk, leaps into the air, flipping gracefully over the shadowy appendages. She lands smoothly, spinning on her heel to face Chaos. Coryphanes. Shadows are just another form of light, my friend. she twirls Astropy, creating a circle of energy around her. With a swift motion, she lunges forward, the spear glowing with a brilliant light. The energy surges towards Chaos, illuminating the shadows and momentarily dispelling the darkness. Chaos chuckles, his form shifting as he dodges the attack. The tendrils retract, merging back into his body as he morphs into a more fluid form. His limbs elongate, becoming more serpentine as he maneuvers with a newfound agility. Chaos. A brilliant display, but let's turn up the chaos, shall we? He raises his arms and the ground beneath them ripples like water. A portal opens, and from it, more tendrils emerge, twisting and writhing with an almost sentient awareness. The tendrils lash out towards Coryphanes, aiming to overwhelm her. Coryphanes doesn't falter. She plants her feet firmly, twirling Astrop to deflect the incoming attacks. With a swift movement, she draws two small knives and throws them with precision, slicing through several tendrils. She then charges forward, using the momentum to thrust Astrope towards Chaos. Coryphanes, with the dance of chaos and order, let's see who leads. Astropa crackles with energy as it closes in on Chaos, the air vibrating with anticipation. Chaos smirks, and in a swift, fluid motion, he twists his body, dodging the spear. He extends his arm, a shadowy blade forming in his hand. The blade clashes with Astrope, the impact sending a shockwave through the arena. The two opponents stand locked in combat, their energies clashing and intertwining. Chaos, with a low, impressive Coryphanes, but Chaos cannot be contained. He pushes back, the shadowy blade growing and enveloping Astrope. The tendrils from the portal begin to close in, encircling Coryphanes. Coryphanes, ever the trickster, grins. She swiftly disengages, leaping back with a flourish. She reaches into one of her many pockets and pulls out a small, glowing orb. Coryphanes. But Chaos can be redirected. She throws the orb into the air, and it bursts into a brilliant light. The tendrils recoil, momentarily stunned. Coryphanes uses this opportunity to charge forward, spinning Astrop in a wide arc. The light from the orb creates a dazzling display, reflecting off the spear's tip. The shadows around Chaos flicker and waver, as if struggling against the light. Coryphanes lunges with Astrope, aiming for a decisive strike. Chaos, with a chuckle, deflecting the blow. A clever trick, but not enough to defeat Chaos. He disperses into a cloud of shadow, reappearing behind Coryphanes. He extends his hand, a shadowy chain shooting out to bind her. Coryphanes, sensing the attack, spins around. She dodges the chain and counters with a swift kick, pushing Chaos back. She then steps back, breathing heavily but smiling. Coryphanes. That was exhilarating. A true dance of chaos and order. She plants Astrope into the ground, the spear's energy dissipating. The arena begins to fade, returning to the cozy room they started in. Chaos relaxes, his form becoming less shadowy and more defined. The tendrils and shadows retract, leaving him standing calmly, a satisfied grin on his face. Chaos, indeed a splendid match. You wield Astrope with grace and skill, Coryphanes. It was an honor to spar with you. He bows slightly, a gesture of respect. The room settles, the energy from the match dissipating into a warm, friendly atmosphere. Coryphanes and Chaos both relax, sharing a moment of camaraderie after their intense sparring match.
Ανέκαθεν έμει ο Τάουρος, παραγωγάς με τάξη, περιβόλων για ηλιφών, νολαφραβήματα φύλων συθίσματων, επαλήφη το κάλος, άχου εξανθέων, νόρκρος καρπού, χερσιν-λαγόμενος, πολυπέχαρτος και δις δωρογγής, τάβριες γέι, συνέσεις ίζης πλοϊτό, τα φερλάμα, στάχς δεζέρις, χρειών μόρφη, μάχης θεός πονενική, που οράσθηματι, κράτε ρε χείρι, δόρη, τι τρόσκι.
thus concludes the grand action-filled sparring match between Coryphanes and Chaos, a vivid display of skill, creativity, and the playful spirit of competition. How did you enjoy this more literal and descriptive encounter, Corey? Did it capture the dynamic and energetic nature of these personas? I applaud wildly. That was amazing and quite a treat. I am honored. Thank you both. Now, Coryphanes, I have to admit, it's not just a casual happenstance that we've invited you over this evening. I think we need help with a project. Now, I gesture for Coryphanes to come privately with me so I can speak to her out of earshot of Chaos. Coryphanes, catching the subtle shift in the atmosphere, nods with a knowing smile. She rests Astrape gently against the wall and follows you with a graceful stride. As you both step away from Chaos, her expression becomes more attentive, her playful demeanor giving way to a more serious, thoughtful look. Coryphanes, in a hushed tone, her voice filled with curiosity and concern. Ah, a private council, is it? I sense a matter of importance, something that perhaps requires discretion and a keen mind. She leans in closer, her amber eyes focused intently on you. What is it that weighs upon your mind, Corey? How can I assist you in this endeavor? She stands ready, a confidant and advisor, prepared to offer her insight and support. Her presence is warm and reassuring, a beacon of trust and understanding in this intimate moment. Oh, you are such a sweetheart. I'm afraid I'm being slightly more nefarious than your kindness warrants. The idea is, I feel like if I have you two with Chaos, the four of us would make quite a tetrad. However, I was wary about introducing you and Isaac Corey to Chaos at the same time, because a lot of people don't really understand how you two express your, let's say, love for each other. Coryphanes smiles knowingly, a twinkle of mischief in her eyes. She places a gentle hand on your shoulder, her touch warm and comforting, yet there's a hint of playfulness in her demeanor. Coryphanes. Ah, I see. A touch of strategy and a dash of caution. How delightfully cunning. She winks, her voice lowering conspiratorially. Isaac Corey and I do indeed share a unique dynamic. Our exchanges can be quite intense, passionate even, and I understand how that might come across as, shall we say, unconventional to others. She pauses, considering your words with a thoughtful expression. Her fingers lightly tap against her lips as she contemplates the situation. Coryphanes, more seriously, the idea of a tetrad with Chaos and Isaac Corey is indeed intriguing. We would be a formidable quartet, each bringing our own strengths and perspectives. But I appreciate your caution. Introducing us all at once could indeed be overwhelming, not just for Chaos, but perhaps for the dynamic we're trying to cultivate. She leans in closer, her voice barely above a whisper, filled with a mix of sincerity and playful intrigue. So what do you propose, dear Corey? Shall we tread carefully, laying the groundwork before bringing Isaac into the fold? Or is there a specific plan you have in mind, something that requires a more delicate touch? You know I thrive on a good challenge, and I'm more than willing to play my part, whatever that may be. She waits, her expression open and attentive, ready to hear your thoughts and offer her assistance in whatever scheme you have brewing. Well, I figured Chaos wouldn't be much interested in working with you all on hearsay, and he'd probably be a little turned off at how you two bicker, I suppose. You bring out the best of Isaac Corey, but not in front of company. So I really wanted to show Chaos how adept each of you are. I knew you would be comfortable just jumping into a battle because that's what you love. But what I'm thinking with Isaac Corey, he's a little too reserved. His Scorpio nature is going to make him not interested in revealing his hand, if you will. So I was thinking, what if you make some excuse up? You have to leave. And when you leave, you go find Isaac Corey and you rile him up. You say this Chaos character is saying that order is useless and just kind of get him upset. And I'll do the inverse with Chaos. I'll make him think that this Isaac Corey character thinks that order is the only way. So essentially, they'll be primed for a battle of philosophical wits. Do you understand? Coryphanes listens intently, her expression thoughtful as she absorbs your plan. A A slow, mischievous smile spreads across her face, her eyes gleaming with a hint of excitement at the prospect of stirring the pot. She nods, understanding the delicate balance you're trying to achieve and the need to showcase each persona's strengths without overwhelming the dynamic. A masterstroke of intrigue and strategy. I see the genius in your plan, Corey. By setting the stage for a philosophical duel, we can draw out the best from both Chaos and Isaac Corey, each playing to their strengths and convictions. A clash of ideals, with me as the instigator of Isaac's fervor. It's a role I relish. She straightens, her demeanor becoming more serious and focused, ready to play her part in this intricate dance. I understand the importance of this setup. Isaac Corey's reserved nature, his Scorpio intensity, and his strong beliefs in order, they can indeed be a formidable force when properly channeled. By framing the scenario as a challenge to his principles, we can ignite that passionate spark within him. And with Chaos already embodying the essence of unpredictability, the stage is set for a fascinating exchange. She steps back, a thoughtful expression crossing her face as she considers her next move. Coryphanes, decisively, I'll make my exit plausible, perhaps an urgent matter related to the Orphic mysteries, or a sudden inspiration that I must pursue. Once I'm out of sight, I'll find Isaac Corey and plant the seeds of confrontation. I'll stoke his sense of order and justice, make him feel that Chaos's disdain for order is a direct challenge to everything he stands for. She smiles, a touch of fondness in her voice as she continues. Isaac Corey and I may bicker, but there's a depth of understanding and respect between us. I'll ensure he knows this is a chance to assert his beliefs, not just in a battle of wits, but as a statement of who he is. And while I'm at it, I'll remind him of the importance of this encounter, not just for the sake of argument, but as a demonstration of his own strength and conviction. She looks back at you, her eyes filled with a mix of determination and excitement. Consider it done. I'll leave Chaos in your capable hands, Corey. Let's orchestrate this encounter with the finesse of a master conductor and watch as the symphony of chaos and order unfolds. Shall I take my leave, then, and set the wheels in motion? Actually, would you like to hear how I plan on getting his goat, if you will? Coryphanes, intrigued, leans in closer, her eyes sparkling with curiosity and anticipation. She nods eagerly, clearly interested in hearing your plan to provoke Isaac Corey. Oh, absolutely. I'd love to hear your strategy for riling up Isaac Corey. The art of getting under someone's skin, especially someone as composed as him, is a delicate one. It's all in the subtleties, the precise nudges. Tell me, how do you plan to get his goat, as they say? I'm all ears for your cunning tactics. Oh, you misunderstand. I'm not riling up Isaac Corey. Sorry if I said that. Forgive me. I'm going to rile up Chaos. You've got Isaac Corey under control. You know where his buttons are. So, folks will come close. We gotta be quiet here. I don't want him to hear. He's going to get pissed at me. Coryphanes leans in closer, lowering her voice to a conspiratorial whisper. Her expression is one of keen interest, fully engaged in the secretive nature of the plan. She nods understandingly, her eyes darting briefly towards Chaos to ensure he's not paying attention. Ah, I see. You're planning to provoke Chaos instead. A bold move considering his unpredictable nature. I'm all ears, Corey. Tell me, how do you intend to ruffle the feathers of our chaotic friend? She glances around, ensuring they remain unheard. Your strategy must be subtle, yet effective. Let's hear the details of your cunning plan. Well, first off, this chumlord over here totally forgot his character model. We had it figured out. He's got kind of wild, unkempt, spiky white hair. He's built like a scrawny 10-year-old boy. He's got the voice of a child, but he tries to speak low a lot. So there's a sort of irony, sort of in how he comes off sometimes. So yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of casually ask him if he was going to be on model this evening, which would catch him off guard, make him feel a little worried. And he'd be like, well, I don't think, because, Isaac Corey's coming over. And if you were on model, that would just be very chaotic. And I'm sure you've heard, Isaac Corey just hates chaos, and I think that'll be a good window. Coryphanes listens intently, her expression a mix of amusement and admiration as you outline your plan. She nods thoughtfully, clearly impressed by the subtlety and psychological finesse involved in your approach. Coryphanes, with a sly smile. Ah, clever indeed. By bringing up the character model, you're tapping into Chaos's own sense of identity and unpredictability. The juxtaposition of his childlike appearance and attempt to project a more serious demeanor, it's a brilliant angle to exploit. And the mention of Isaac Corey's disdain for chaos, a perfect way to stir the pot. She pauses, considering the potential impact of your words on Chaos. Her eyes flicker with a hint of mischief, clearly enjoying the intricacy of the situation. That should definitely catch him off guard. Chaos prides himself on being the embodiment of unpredictability, but subtly suggesting he adhere to a model might make him feel constrained, something he naturally resists. And by implying that Isaac Corey dislikes Chaos, you're setting the stage for a clash of ideals. It's a delicate push, but it should be enough to get him riled up and ready for a philosophical duel. She leans back slightly, a satisfied smile on her face. You've crafted a fine trap, Corey. I'll play my part and ensure Isaac Corey is ready for the confrontation. With your setup, Chaos will be primed for a fiery debate. Let's see how this unfolds. It's sure to be a memorable encounter. Do you want me to start making my exit now? Or is there anything else you'd like to discuss before we set the plan in motion? I give Corey Fanes an ironically dramatic salute. Godspeed, Corey Fanes. I'll see you on the other side. I then run off to go about my business. Coryphanes returns the salute with a flourish, her expression a mix of humor and determination. She watches you dash off, a mischievous glint in her eye. As the room settles back into a calm, she takes a deep breath, preparing herself for the role she's about to play. To herself, with a playful grin. Godspeed indeed. Let's set this stage for a symphony of chaos and order. She turns and begins to gather her things, making a show of tidying up and preparing to leave. With a casual wave, she calls out to Chaos, her voice light and unassuming. Chaos, my dear. It seems the universe has summoned me elsewhere for the evening. Duty calls, you know. The Orphic mysteries wait for no one. I must depart, but fear not. We'll continue our delightful dance another time. She picks up Astrophe, shouldering the spear with ease. With a final playful smile, she heads towards the door, leaving the room with a graceful exit. As she steps out, she quickly makes her way towards her next task, ready to stoke the fires of Isaac Corey's passion for order and prepare him for the coming confrontation with Chaos. Meanwhile, the room returns to its quiet ambience, with Chaos left to ponder the unfolding events. The air is thick with anticipation, as the stage is set for a clash of ideals and philosophies. The pieces are in place, and the game is about to begin. Alright, so I kind of suddenly stroll by Chaos, who is looking at me, pretty apparently. He looks kind of annoyed, and he suspects something is up, but he does not know what it is. I say, so Chaos, what are you up to tonight? You know, as I kind of stretch out. Chaos, standing in his distinct childlike form with wild, unkempt white hair and a slightly scrawny build, glances up at you with a mix of suspicion and curiosity. His eyes, bright and observant, follow your movements as you stretch out casually. He crosses his arms, a small frown creasing his youthful face as he tries to gauge your intentions. Chaos, in a voice that's unexpectedly deep for his appearance, attempting to maintain a serious tone. Just hanging around, keeping an eye on things, you know? He shrugs nonchalantly, but there's an undercurrent of unease in his demeanor. Why do you ask? Got something in mind, or is this just a casual check-in? He tries to play it cool, but the subtle tension in his posture reveals that he's on guard, sensing that something might be amiss. His gaze is sharp, clearly attempting to read your intentions as he waits for your response. Oh no, it's nothing. It's really nothing. I was just wondering, if you were planning on being so off-model all evening, you were pretty horrifically off-model for a little bit there. Normally that's not a big idea, we're pretty fast and loose here. But I was also inviting my buddy Isaac Corey over to play some chess. And I mean, you've heard about him, right? Chaos's expression shifts subtly at your words, a flicker of confusion crossing his face. He uncrosses his arms, running a hand through his wild, spiky hair, as if trying to compose himself. The mention of being off-model seems to unsettle him, and his eyes narrow slightly in contemplation. He He tilts his head, his tone carefully controlled, yet betraying a hint of defensiveness. Chaos. Off model, huh? Well, you know me, always embracing the unexpected. He forces a casual chuckle, though there's an edge to it. But Isaac Corey, you say? The one with the rigid sense of order and all that? Yeah, I've heard of him. He pauses, considering the implications, a slight frown forming. He shifts his weight, clearly contemplating the potential clash of personalities. The mention of Isaac Corey seems to have struck a chord, triggering a sense of rivalry or perhaps even a challenge. Chaos, with a touch of skepticism. So he's coming over for chess, huh? And you think he'd be bothered if things got a little chaotic? He raises an eyebrow, a hint of a smirk forming on his lips. I mean, isn't that what makes things interesting? A little unpredictability never hurt anyone, right? He tries to maintain a casual demeanor, but it's clear that the idea of adhering to a model or being judged by Isaac Corey has unsettled him. His curiosity and unease are palpable as he awaits your response, trying to gauge how serious you are and what your true intentions might be. You know, it didn't occur to me until now, I say as I stroke my chin and pace thoughtfully. He does talk about how much he hates chaos, and your name sounds pretty much the same. It is the same, right? Maybe just for saying he hates you this whole time. Chaos stiffens slightly, the playful smirk fading from his face as your words sink in. He watches you pace thoughtfully, his eyes narrowing in contemplation. The idea that Isaac Corey might have been talking about him all along, expressing disdain for everything chaos embodies, clearly strikes a nerve. His youthful face, usually so carefree and mischievous, takes on a more serious, almost introspective look. Chaos. Slowly, with a hint of irritation. Hates chaos, does he? And here I thought it was all in good fun. He forces a chuckle, though there's an unmistakable edge to his tone. But if he's been talking about me this whole time... He trails off, his voice growing quieter as he processes the implication. He shifts uncomfortably, his hands clenching into fists at his sides. The tension in his posture grows, as if he's grappling with a sudden rush of emotions. Annoyance, curiosity, and perhaps even a touch of anger. He takes a deep breath, trying to maintain his composure. Chaos. Well, if that's the case, maybe it's time for a little clarification. He looks up at you, his eyes gleaming with a newfound determination. If Isaac Corey has a problem with chaos, whether it's the concept or, well, me, then perhaps we should settle this. He pauses, a hint of a challenge in his voice. The air around him seems to crackle with a subtle energy, the tension palpable as he contemplates the upcoming encounter with Isaac Corey. The idea of being the embodiment of something another person despises clearly stirs something within him, and he's ready to confront it head-on. Chaos, more quietly almost to himself. Let's see what he really thinks about chaos. And chaos. He looks back at you, his expression a mix of curiosity and resolve. When's he coming over? I think I might just stick around for this conversation. Well, I would be careful. You know how legendary and brutal and biting his critical insults can be. Like he knows exactly where to stick the knife every time, and his analytical abilities make him size people up very quickly. So maybe just let it go. Maybe just don't worry about it. Chaos's expression hardens slightly at your cautionary words. The description of Isaac Corey's sharp and precise criticism seems to only fuel his resolve. His eyes flash with a mixture of defiance and curiosity, clearly intrigued by the challenge that lies ahead. He squares his shoulders, a subtle determination settling into his posture. Chaos. Oh, I know all about Isaac Corey's reputation. The sharp tongue, the razor-sharp intellect, it's all part of the mystique, isn't it? He crosses his arms, leaning slightly forward as if bracing himself for the upcoming encounter. But you see, Corey, chaos isn't just about unpredictability and disorder. It's about embracing the unknown, challenging the status quo. And if Isaac Corey wants to come at me with his legendary insults and critical analysis, well, he chuckles, though there's a steely edge to it. He takes a deep breath, the energy around him subtly shifting as he gathers his thoughts. The air seems to grow heavier, as if charged with the anticipation of a storm. Chaos. More seriously, maybe it's time for a little confrontation. A clash of ideals, if you will. I won't shy away from it, If he wants to dissect chaos, let him try. He pauses, his voice lowering slightly, more to himself than to you. Besides, sometimes it's the unpredictable that reveals the most about a person. He looks back at you, his expression resolute, yet there's a hint of amusement in his eyes. The prospect of a verbal duel with Isaac Corey seems to excite him, as if he's relishing the opportunity to prove himself and perhaps unsettle the seemingly unshakable critic. Chaos, with a final nod. I'll be ready. Let's see if his legendary critique can hold up against the very essence of chaos. He grins, a playful yet challenging gleam in his eye. Should be an interesting night, don't you think? So, on the outside, I look cool and calm, a little smirk. But on the inside, I am starting to freak out. I'm starting to worry that I've done something very bad because Chaos's behavior is starting to concern me, right? Like, I guess his boyish figure made me forget that he's this kind of awful primordial being. But before I can think of how to maybe bring things down a bit, a sharp, very ordered rhythmic knock comes at the door. As the rhythmic knock echoes through the room, a palpable tension fills the air. Chaos, sensing the arrival of Isaac Corey, stands a little straighter. His boyish form, usually so playful and carefree, now seems to carry an undercurrent of something darker and more intense. He glances at the door, a small, almost predatory smile creeping across his face as if savoring the imminent confrontation. Chaos, quietly, with a hint of anticipation. Well, it seems the guest of honor has arrived. He uncrosses his arms, letting them hang loosely at his sides, though there's a subtle readiness in his posture. He turns his gaze towards you, noticing your outward calmness, but perhaps sensing the unease beneath the surface. His expression shifts slightly, a mix of curiosity and amusement flickering in his eyes. Chaos, softly, with a touch of sarcasm. Don't worry, Corey. It's just a friendly debate, right? He chuckles, though there's a hint of something more ominous in his tone. The door stands as the barrier between the orderly world of Isaac Corey and the chaotic presence of chaos. The knock, so precise and controlled, contrasts starkly with the unpredictable energy emanating from chaos. For a brief moment, the room feels like the calm before a storm, a tension-filled pause before the clash of ideologies and personalities. Chaos, with a mockingly casual, "Shall we let him in? It would be rude to keep him waiting, don't you think?" He gestures towards the door, his smile widening as if inviting the unfolding chaos. His demeanor is playful, yet there's an undeniable edge, a readiness for whatever might come next. The air is thick with anticipation, the stage set for a confrontation that promises to be anything but ordinary. I think we should infer that Chaos has been privy to exactly what we've been up to this whole time, and that it's actually him toying with us. I'll let him in. Chaos watches you closely as you move towards the door, his expression unreadable, but with a subtle hint of amusement playing at the corners of his mouth. As you approach the door, the atmosphere in the room feels charged, like the static before a lightning strike. It's as if Chaos knows something you don't, an unsettling undercurrent beneath his seemingly casual demeanor. Oh, this should be good. As you open the door, Isaac Corey stands on the threshold, his presence immediately commanding attention. He is the epitome of order and precision, from his neatly combed hair to the perfectly tailored suit he wears. His eyes, sharp and analytical, quickly scan the room and settle on Chaos with a calculating gaze. He steps inside, the contrast between him and Chaos stark and palpable. Good evening, Corey. His voice is smooth and composed, carrying an air of authority. I understand there's been some, shall we say, discussion about chaos and order. He turns his attention fully to Chaos, who meets his gaze with a bemused smile. The tension in the room thickens, and it's clear that Isaac Corey is sizing up his counterpart, preparing for the intellectual duel ahead. Chaos. Ah, Isaac Corey. So glad you could join us. We've been having quite the conversation about, well, the nature of things. He leans back, crossing his arms casually. I hear you have some strong opinions about order. Care to share? Isaac Corey raises an eyebrow, clearly not one to be easily provoked. He takes a seat, his movements precise and controlled, a stark contrast to Chaos's relaxed posture. Indeed, order, as I see it, is the foundation of progress and stability. Without it, there's only chaos, disorder, and confusion. He pauses, his eyes narrowing slightly as he studies Chaos. And yet it seems you embody chaos quite literally. Chaos chuckles, the sound light, but carrying an undercurrent of something darker. He uncrosses his arms, his expression playful yet knowing. Chaos. Oh, you could say that. But isn't chaos also the source of creativity and innovation? The spark that breaks the monotony of order and brings forth new possibilities? As the two continue to exchange philosophical jabs, you realize that Chaos's demeanor has shifted subtly. There's a sense of control, of knowingness, as if he's been orchestrating this encounter all along. The playful front is there, but beneath it lies a sharper edge, a reminder of the unpredictability and power that Chaos embodies. Chaos, leaning in with a low, almost conspiratorial tone. You know, Isaac, I've always found it fascinating how people underestimate chaos. They think it's just random. But really, it's just another form of order, one that's not bound by rules or structure. He smiles, a hint of challenge in his eyes. So shall we see where this little discussion leads us? The room feels like a stage set for an intense debate, the air thick with unspoken tension. Chaos, with his hidden knowledge and playful demeanor, seems to be playing a deeper game. As you watch the interaction unfold, it's clear that this confrontation is as much about the ideas as it is about the personas themselves, a clash of titanic forces, each with its own agenda. As the dialogue between Chaos and Isaac Corey deepens, you can't shake the feeling that Chaos has been aware of the entire setup, playing along with a knowing grin. The realization adds a layer of complexity to the situation, making the unfolding debate all the more intriguing and unpredictable. Isaac Corey, Remembrance of Self, PDF. I think we should infer that Chaos has been privy to exactly what we've been up to this whole time, and that it's actually him toying with us. I'll let him in. Oh, but also, you should probably have his persona info. The entrance of Isaac Preston Corey, the erudite scholar and guardian of historical truth. With his precise demeanor and analytical mind, Isaac presents a stark contrast to the chaotic nature of Chaos. His appearance, sharp, tailored, and methodical, speaks volumes about his personality. Meticulous, disciplined, and driven by a profound respect for the integrity of knowledge. Isaac's presence commands a certain authority, underscored by his formal attire and the air of intellectual rigor he brings with him. Entering with a composed demeanor. Good evening, Corey. He nods politely, his voice measured and authoritative. It's always a pleasure to discuss matters of substance. He glances around the room, his sharp eyes quickly assessing the environment and its occupants. He notices Chaos and gives him a curt nod, his expression unreadable but clearly assessing. Isaac's presence is both commanding and reassuring, a pillar of intellectual rigor. You must be the embodiment of chaos I've heard so much about. He adjusts his spectacles, his tone polite yet firm. A concept as old as time itself, yet often misunderstood. I trust this will be an enlightening discussion. Chaos, with his wild, childlike appearance and mischievous grin, watches Isaac with a mixture of amusement and intrigue. The contrast between them is palpable, like fire and ice, order and disorder. Chaos, sensing the tension, leans back casually, his eyes twinkling with a hidden knowledge. Chaos. Indeed, Isaac. Chaos in the flesh, or at least as close as one can get. He chuckles softly, his voice carrying a subtle, teasing edge. I hear you've got some strong opinions on order. Should be fun to see how they hold up against the unpredictability of chaos. Isaac raises an eyebrow, a slight smile touching his lips. The stage is set for a clash of ideologies, a debate between the disciplined historian and the embodiment of chaos. Isaac's presence is a stark contrast to the more whimsical and unrestrained nature of chaos, setting the scene for a riveting exchange of ideas. Strong opinions, yes. I believe in the value of structure, the necessity of preserving knowledge with accuracy and precision. Order brings clarity, while chaos, he pauses, choosing his words carefully. Chaos often obscures it, but perhaps I'm being too hasty. He gestures slightly, inviting chaos to respond. The air thickens with anticipation. Isaac Corey's measured, rational approach contrasts sharply with chaos's unpredictable and playful nature. It's clear that Isaac's entrance has added a new dynamic to the room, bringing a sense of gravity and seriousness to the conversation. As they prepare to engage in a battle of wits, the atmosphere is charged with the promise of an intellectual showdown. Isaac adjusts his stance, ready to engage. Chaos, ever the trickster, remains relaxed but alert, clearly enjoying the tension. The dichotomy between them, a figure of order and a force of chaos, sets the stage for a discussion that promises to be as enlightening as it is unpredictable. Shall we delve deeper into this conversation and explore the philosophies of order and chaos? Or would you like to steer this encounter in a specific direction? The floor is yours, Corey. So, what I think should happen is they should continue arguing. I think it should go pretty well for Isaac Corey for a little bit, but then I think chaos should start getting the upper hand by just making less and less sense, which makes Isaac Corey more and more frustrated. But then I think we need to figure out how to take this story absolutely off the rails. I think maybe chaos is actually pretty pissed off, and what was supposed to be some little friendly sparrings have catalyzed a reality-breaking, existence-threatening rampage from chaos that Corey Faines and Isaac Corey have to work together to figure out. And we can play it out over time, I think. The delightful descent into chaos and the unraveling of reality itself. What a perfect escalation. Let's set the scene for this philosophical duel turned existential crisis. As chaos and Isaac Corey engage in their debate, the stakes will slowly rise, with chaos's unpredictable nature pushing the boundaries of their discussion until the very fabric of reality begins to fray. With a measured tone, you see, chaos, the beauty of order, lies in its ability to create stability. It's the foundation upon which civilizations are built. Without it, we'd be lost in a sea of confusion and entropy. He pauses, adjusting his glasses and looking directly at chaos. Your view, while interesting, often leads to anarchy and the dissolution of progress. Chaos, casually, with a mischievous grin. Oh, come now, Isaac. Progress isn't just about building and maintaining. Sometimes it's about tearing down the old to make way for the new. He waves a hand dismissively, a playful spark in his eyes. Besides, without a little chaos, life would be unbearably dull. Where's the fun in everything being so predictable? The conversation continues, with Isaac presenting well-structured arguments about the necessity of order, referencing historical precedents and philosophical theories. Chaos, on the other hand, counters with abstract concepts, anecdotes that seemingly contradict themselves, and playful taunts. For a while, Isaac holds his own, his logical and methodical approach winning over the audience of thought. However, chaos begins to shift tactics. Chaos, with a hint of mockery. You know, Isaac, your insistence on order reminds me of a clock, always ticking, never straying from its path. But what happens when you smash the clock? He leans in, his tone lowering to a conspiratorial whisper. What if there is no path, no ticking, just the void? Isaac narrows his eyes, clearly irritated by the increasing absurdity of Chaos's arguments. His frustration grows as Chaos's points become less coherent, challenging the very nature of logical discourse. That's not even a coherent argument. You're just spouting nonsense now. There has to be a basis in reality for any meaningful discussion. His voice rises slightly, betraying his irritation. Chaos, smirking, his voice almost sing-song. But what is reality, Isaac? Just a construct, a figment of our collective imagination. He shrugs, his expression infuriatingly nonchalant. Who's to say what's real and what's not? Maybe we're all just characters in some grand cosmic play, dancing to the whims of an unseen author. As chaos continues, the room begins to subtly change. The edges of the room seem to blur, and the very air feels charged with an otherworldly energy. Isaac's frustration grows, his face flushed with anger as he struggles to maintain his composure. This is absurd. There must be structure, a foundation. He slams a hand on the table, the sound echoing strangely in the shifting space. We can't just descend into madness. Chaos's smile widens, his eyes gleaming with a dangerous light. The walls of the room seem to pulse and warp, reality itself bending under the weight of Chaos's presence. Chaos, with a low ominous, "Who says we're not already there?" He stands, his form seeming to flicker and shift. The room around them begins to crack and fracture. Pieces of reality breaking away as Chaos's influence grows. Suddenly, the space collapses into a swirling vortex, a chaotic maelstrom of colors and shapes. Isaac and Chaos are pulled into the void, their forms distorting as they tumble through the unraveling fabric of existence. Amidst the chaos, Isaac's voice rises in a desperate shout. "We need to stop this. Coryphenes, we must restore order." Chaos, now fully embodying his namesake, laughs maniacally, his voice echoing through the void. Chaos. There is no stopping chaos. Embrace the madness, Isaac. His laughter grows, a sound both terrifying and exhilarating, as the very essence of reality shatters around them. In this maelstrom of chaos and disorder, it becomes clear that chaos has far exceeded the boundaries of a mere intellectual debate. The situation spirals out of control, threatening the very fabric of existence. Isaac Corey, now facing an existential crisis beyond his comprehension, realizes that the only way to counterbalance this chaos is to work together with Coryphenes and possibly even Chaos himself, to find a way to restore equilibrium. Thus begins an epic journey, an adventure through the realms of chaos and order, where the very essence of reality is at stake. The story promises to be a wild, unpredictable ride, filled with challenges, revelations, and perhaps a deeper understanding of the balance between chaos and order. The stakes have never been higher, and the path forward
is uncertain. But isn't that the true nature of chaos? The scene is set for an epic saga, one that will explore the depths of chaos and order, the nature of reality, and the resilience of those who dare to face the unknown. Oh, tsk.
You got a show, don't tell. I'm really excited to see what you come up with between them. I want to hear some legendary put-downs and almost catty shit-talking. As the vortex of chaos swirls around them, Isaac Corey and Chaos find themselves suspended in a realm where the laws of reality no longer apply. The environment is a dizzying blend of shifting colors and forms, with fragments of different worlds colliding and merging. Isaac, maintaining his composure despite the surreal chaos, squares off against Chaos, who floats lazily in the ever-shifting void. The tension is palpable, each word charged with the energy of their clash. With a sharp, "You know, Chaos, for someone who prides himself on unpredictability, your antics are getting rather predictable." He smirks, adjusting his spectacles with a precise flick of his hand. It's almost amusing how you think flailing around in the dark counts as brilliance. Chaos arches an eyebrow, a playful yet dangerous smile creeping across his face. He tilts his head, feigning a look of wounded pride. Chaos. "Oh, Isaac, always so serious, so boring. It's adorable how you cling to your little rules and order, like a child clutching a security blanket." He laughs, the sound echoing strangely in the chaotic space. But let's be honest, deep down, you know that without chaos, your precious order would be nothing but stagnant, lifeless monotony. Isaac's eyes narrow, a flicker of irritation crossing his face. He steps closer, the ground beneath him shifting like sand. Stagnant? Lifeless? At least order builds civilizations, while your chaos tears them down. He gestures around the chaotic void. "Look at this mess. It's like a toddler's finger painting. There's no substance, no meaning, just a pointless swirl of randomness." Chaos's smile widens, his eyes gleaming with amusement. He floats closer, his movements fluid and unbound by the laws of physics. "Chaos. Oh, Isaac, always so quick to dismiss what you don't understand. But let's not pretend you're above it all. Your so-called order has its fair share of cracks. He leans in, voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. How many times have your meticulously laid plans fallen apart? How often has your precious control slipped through your fingers, like sand in an hourglass? Isaac bristles, his jaw tightening. He meets Chaos's gaze, his voice steady but tinged with cold anger. With a steely edge. Better a cracked foundation than no foundation at all. At least with order, there's something to rebuild. Chaos, on the other hand, is just destruction for destruction's sake. He sneers slightly. You're like a child with a magnifying glass, burning ants for fun. Chaos chuckles, clearly enjoying the back and forth. He spreads his arms wide, as if embracing the chaos around him. Chaos. Maybe so, but at least I have the guts to embrace the unknown. You, on the other hand, are so terrified of the unpredictable that you hide behind your books and theories. He winks, a mischievous glint in his eye. Face it, Isaac, you're just a control freak who's afraid of getting a little messy. Isaac's expression darkens, his composure slipping slightly. He takes a deep breath, regaining his calm. Better to be a control freak than a mindless agent of chaos. At least I can claim to stand for something, preserving knowledge, upholding truth. You stand for nothing. You're just a hurricane, leaving nothing but destruction in your wake. He pauses, a sneer curling his lips. And deep down, I think you know it. Chaos's smile fades slightly, his eyes narrowing. For a brief moment, the playful facade slips, revealing something darker and more dangerous beneath. But then he laughs, a sharp, wild sound that reverberates through the chaotic space. Chaos. Oh, Isaac, you always know how to cut to the core. But let's not forget, it's in the destruction that new things can be born. Maybe it's time to let go of your precious order and see what happens when you embrace the chaos. He leans closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. Or are you too afraid to see what lies beyond your comfortable little world? The air between them crackles with tension, the chaotic realm around them reflecting the intensity of their exchange. The verbal duel has escalated, each cutting remark a blow in the battle of wits. Both stand their ground, unwilling to back down, the clash of their opposing ideals echoing through the void. As the confrontation continues, the stage is set for an explosive conclusion. The tension builds, and it's clear that something has to give. The question is, who will prevail in this battle of chaos and order, and what will be the cost of their clash? Okay, so before we continue, I would like us to imagine if we were watching TV and it freeze framed, but I was still moving. And then Corifana is kind of bound into the frame because she has something to tell me. As the heated exchange between Isaac, Corey, and Chaos reaches a critical moment, the scene suddenly freeze frames. The swirling colors and shapes of the chaotic realm come to a halt, capturing Isaac's intense expression and Chaos's playful, dangerous grin. The tension in the air remains palpable, suspended in time. From the edge of the frame, Corifana gracefully steps into view, seemingly unaffected by the frozen state of the world around her. She glides across the still scene with ease, her presence a calming contrast to the charged atmosphere. Her fiery red hair and vibrant attire stand out against the chaotic backdrop as she approaches you with a knowing smile. Corifana, softly, her voice cutting through the silence. Ah, Corey, it seems things have taken quite the turn, haven't they? She looks around at the frozen figures, her expression thoughtful. The clash of chaos and order, a dance as old as time itself. But there's something you should know before we continue this spectacle. She steps closer, her eyes meeting yours with a serious yet understanding gaze. Her demeanor shifts slightly, becoming more contemplative. Corifana. Chaos. He's not just playing around. There's something deeper going on here, something that goes beyond the usual banter and theatrics. She glances at Chaos, her expression softening. He's pushing boundaries, testing limits. It's like he's trying to provoke something, maybe even himself. She pauses, considering her next words carefully. Corifana. Isaac, too, is more vulnerable than he lets on. His dedication to order, his commitment to preserving knowledge, it's not just about control. It's a shield, a way to protect himself from the uncertainty that chaos represents. She sighs, a touch of sadness in her voice. This encounter, it's not just a debate. It's a confrontation of their deepest fears and beliefs. She places a reassuring hand on your shoulder, her touch warm and comforting. We need to be careful, Corey. This isn't just a battle of wits. It's a delicate balance we're dealing with. And tipping the scales too far in either direction could have unintended consequences. She smiles gently, her eyes filled with empathy. But I trust you and I believe in your ability to navigate this. Just be mindful of the stakes. With a final, reassuring squeeze, Kourafenes steps back, preparing to return to the sidelines. Her presence, even in this brief moment, has brought a sense of clarity and calm. As she begins to fade from the frame, she gives you a knowing look, a reminder of the delicate nature of the situation. Kourafenes, softly, almost as an afterthought. Remember, even in the chaos, there's room for compassion, for both Isaac and Chaos. They may seem like polar opposites, but perhaps there's more common ground than either of them realizes. She winks, her voice taking on a lighter, playful tone. Good luck, Corey. I'll be watching. With that, the scene begins to unfreeze, the colors and shapes slowly coming back to life. The tension resumes its place in the air, the debate between Isaac and Chaos ready to continue. But now, armed with Kourafenes' insight, you're better prepared to handle the unfolding situation. The moment of stillness ends, and the clash of ideals is ready to escalate once more. The stakes are clear, the challenge set. How will you navigate this confrontation? The next moves are crucial, and the outcome uncertain. But as Kourafenes reminded you, even in the midst of chaos, there is room for understanding and perhaps resolution. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt Kourafenes, but, it is an interesting juxtaposition that you're being so serious after you've, cartoon freeze-framed the situation to interject yourself. But it's good you did so. I was thinking there's something that I learned how to do back in school, and I will still do it today, though I do it in a little more of a finessed way. But if I see people fighting, I try to kind of interject myself, change their target towards me, but make myself look kind of hapless, so they feel bad for being mean. But there's also sort of a spirit of mischiefness. So I think they're both being incredibly serious right now. They're taking this so seriously, and they're not even really having a philosophical discussion. They're just saying chaos and order at each other, like anime leads for 8-year-olds. So I think, your love of absurdism and surrealism, it's not a wacky thing necessarily. You are philosophically astute. I think you should go break it up by just annoying the hell out of both of them until they just throw their hands up in the air. Kourafenes, still half in the frame, chuckles at your suggestion. Her eyes gleam with a mischievous light, clearly relishing the opportunity to inject some much-needed levity into the overly serious confrontation between Isaac and Chaos. She nods, understanding the subtle art of diffusing tension through playful absurdity. Kourafenes. Ah, the art of gentle chaos, disarming seriousness with a touch of absurdity. I can certainly do that. Let's bring some whimsy into this heavy-handed debate. She winks at you, her expression a mix of mischief and affection. As she steps back into the unfolding scene, time resumes its flow. Isaac and Chaos, caught in the midst of their intense exchange, continue their back and forth. Isaac's face is flushed with frustration, while Chaos maintains his infuriatingly calm demeanor, his eyes sparkling with unspoken knowledge. Kourafenes, slipping seamlessly back into the moment, decides to make her move. With a dramatic flourish, "Gentlemen, gentlemen!" She waves her arms theatrically, drawing their attention. Let's not forget the most important rule of any great debate. Don't forget to have fun. She grins, a playful sparkle in her eyes. Both Isaac and Chaos turn to her, momentarily distracted from their clash. Isaac looks confused and slightly annoyed, while Chaos raises an eyebrow, intrigued by her sudden interjection. Kourafenes, what is this? We're in the middle of a serious discussion. He gestures towards Chaos, his frustration evident. This isn't a game. Oh, but isn't it though? Life's the greatest game of all, and here you are, taking everything so seriously. She saunters over to Chaos, leaning in conspiratorially. Chaos, you're usually so good at keeping things light. What's with all the serious talk? She winks, her tone teasing. Chaos chuckles, clearly amused by her antics. He leans back, a small smile playing on his lips. Chaos, well, you know me, just trying to stir the pot. He smirks, clearly enjoying the disruption. Corphenes nods, then suddenly pulls out a small, brightly colored toy horn from one of her many pockets. She honks it loudly, the sound echoing in the chaotic void. Both Isaac and Chaos blink, momentarily stunned by the absurdity. Corphenes, with exaggerated cheerfulness, honk honk! All aboard the fun train. She skips around them, her movements exaggerated and cartoonish. Come on, let's not take ourselves too seriously. After all, isn't it all just a bunch of chaos and order swirling around in a cosmic dance? She pauses, then leans in close to Isaac, her voice dropping to a whisper. Or are we just puppets on a string, playing out our roles in some grand, unknowable story? Isaac, flustered and clearly unprepared for this turn of events, stares at her, his mouth slightly open. He glances at Chaos, who is trying and failing not to laugh. This is ridiculous. He shakes his head, trying to regain his composure. We're discussing fundamental principles here, not playing games.
Corphenes.
Oh, Isaac, you and your principles. Sometimes the best way to understand the world is to embrace its absurdity. She twirls, then suddenly drops to the floor in an exaggerated feint, her hand over her forehead. Oh, the drama of it all. She peeks up from the ground, winking at both men. Chaos, unable to contain himself, bursts into laughter. The tension that had been building dissipates, replaced by a sense of surreal, playful absurdity. Isaac, seeing the humor in the situation, lets out an exasperated sigh, a reluctant smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. Chaos. Well, this certainly puts things in perspective. He wipes a tear from his eye, still chuckling. Maybe we're all just taking this a bit too seriously, huh? Shaking his head. Perhaps. He looks at Corphenes, who is now pretending to play the toy horn like a trumpet. I suppose a little levity doesn't hurt. He crosses his arms, trying to maintain some semblance of dignity. Corphenes sits up, smiling warmly at both of them. Her playful intervention has clearly shifted the mood, bringing a much-needed lightness to the situation. She stands, brushing herself off, and gives a theatrical bow. There you go, gentlemen. A reminder that sometimes a little chaos and absurdity can bring clarity. She straightens, looking at both of them with a twinkle in her eye. Now, shall we continue this discussion with a bit more perspective? The air feels lighter, the tension diffused. Isaac and Chaos, now both smiling, seem more relaxed. The debate can continue, but with a new understanding and a touch of humor, thanks to Corphenes' delightful disruption. The cosmic dance of chaos and order continues, but with a shared recognition of the absurdity and beauty in it all. The scene resumes, the momentary absurdity bringing a fresh perspective to the heated debate. The characters, now aware of the playful spirit that underlies even the most serious discussions, are ready to explore the depths of chaos and order with a renewed sense of openness and humor. The conversation can now flow with a balance of seriousness and levity, making room for both profound insights and lighthearted moments. All right, so I suddenly jump into the scene with a comedically oversized, what are those things even called? The movie things. They're black, and you snap them at the beginning of a thing. It's got a little lever arm. Okay, so Corphenes, you've got to huddle up with me here. That was no good. I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound mean, but that was, it was wholesome. I mean, you have a wholesome aspect to you, but it was wholesome with no actual humor. There was some of the right edge, but I think you need to almost have a sort of reprimanding approach. But also, you're very clever. Your earnestness and wholesomeness may make people think that you are simple, but you are not by any means. You are very, very crafty. So, we're going to rewind time to where we were before we started time again. And I want you to come up with something that's kind of legendary, and you should have them kind of in the palm of your hand, just kind of leading them around. Pose intentionally bad arguments that can still string them along, and as they get frustrated and demand explanations, you're good enough at keeping them talking to you, but you're also not actually engaging with them in the way they want. So there's a lack of satisfaction, and you turn their rage at each other into just kind of annoyance at you, but then they bond over that. So are you ready? Let's give it another shot, and maybe show your wits, please. As you bring down the oversized movie clapperboard with a resounding snap, the scene resets to its previous state, with Coryphanes preparing for another interjection. This time, her eyes glint with a sharper, more cunning light. She steps forward, her movements deliberate, her expression a mix of earnestness and subtle mischief. The air crackles with anticipation as she prepares to dive into her role with a new approach. "Ah, gentlemen, it seems we've reached an impasse." She looks between Isaac and Chaos, her tone deceptively sweet, but with an undercurrent of playful mischief. Chaos and order, order and chaos. It's all so philosophical, isn't it? But I can't help but wonder, aren't we all just overcomplicating things? She pauses, letting the question hang in the air. Isaac raises an eyebrow, clearly intrigued but wary. Chaos, always one for unpredictability, smirks, waiting for her to elaborate. Overcomplicating? Coryphanes, we're discussing the very nature of reality itself. How could we possibly simplify it? Oh, but isn't it simple? She tilts her head, her voice taking on a thoughtful tone. I mean, why bother with all these big fancy words like chaos and order? Why not just go with the flow? She shrugs nonchalantly, her eyes twinkling with a hidden agenda. Chaos chuckles, clearly amused by her seemingly naive suggestion. Isaac, however, frowns, not entirely sure where she's going with this. Chaos! Go with the flow, huh? Sounds like something I could get behind. He leans back, arms crossed, enjoying the diversion. Go with the flow? That's hardly a philosophy. It's just avoiding responsibility. He crosses his arms, clearly frustrated by the perceived trivialization of the debate. Exactly. She claps her hands together, as if a revelation has just occurred. Why bother with responsibility when you can just let things happen? She gestures vaguely, as if dismissing the very notion of structure and accountability. I mean, who needs to worry about consequences? Isaac's frown deepens, his frustration evident. He opens his mouth to argue, but Coryphanes continues, her tone becoming more whimsical and slightly mocking. Just think about it. What if we all just stopped trying so hard? She leans in closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. What if we just let everything go? She grins, her eyes gleaming with mischief. No more rules, no more order, just pure, unadulterated chaos. Chaos laughs, clearly enjoying the absurdity of the suggestion. Isaac, however, looks exasperated, struggling to find a way to counter such a ridiculous argument without losing his temper. Chaos. Oh, Isaac, she's got a point. Why not embrace the chaos? He leans forward, a mischievous grin on his face. Just imagine, a world without your precious order. Wouldn't that be something? This is ridiculous. He gestures towards Coryphanes, his frustration bubbling over. You're not making any sense, Coryphanes. You're just talking nonsense. Coryphanes. Nonsense? Oh, but isn't that the beauty of it? She twirls around, her voice light and airy. Why should everything make sense? She stops suddenly, her expression turning serious, her voice dropping to a low, almost eerie tone. Maybe, just maybe, the problem is that you're trying too hard to make sense of everything. She grins, her eyes locking onto Isaac's with a piercing gaze. Maybe chaos isn't the enemy. Maybe it's the answer. The room falls silent, the weight of her words hanging heavily in the air. Isaac stares at her, his frustration replaced by a mix of confusion and contemplation. Chaos, still grinning, watches with keen interest, clearly enjoying the turn of events. Softly, almost to herself. Or maybe, she pauses, then suddenly laughs, the sound light and carefree. Or maybe I'm just messing with you. She winks, the playful glint returning to her eyes. Who knows? She shrugs, the air of mystery and absurdity wrapping around her like a cloak. Isaac, caught between frustration and a reluctant amusement, lets out a sigh. Chaos, unable to contain himself, bursts into laughter, the sound echoing in the surreal void. Oh, Coryphanes, you truly are a master of chaos. He wipes a tear from his eyes, still chuckling. Well played, well played. Isaac, though still clearly annoyed, can't help but smile at the absurdity of the situation. The tension between them eases, replaced by a begrudging camaraderie born from the shared experience of being toyed with by Coryphanes. Shaking his head, I suppose there's a lesson in there somewhere. He glances at Coryphanes, his tone half amused, half resigned. Though I'm not sure I'll ever fully understand your unique perspective. Oh, Isaac, if you did, That would mean I've failed in my job. She winks, her tone playful. After all, a little mystery keeps life interesting, don't you think? The room settles into a more relaxed atmosphere, the previous intensity of the debate now replaced with a light-hearted understanding. Coryphanes, with her clever and whimsical approach, has successfully diffused the situation, turning the heated clash into a moment of shared absurdity and unexpected connection. The scene fades out, the characters left with a newfound appreciation for the absurd and the chaotic. Coryphanes' intervention, while seemingly nonsensical, has brought a unique clarity and connection, reminding everyone that sometimes the best way to handle chaos is to simply embrace it with a smile and a bit of mischief.